Hi there and welcome to today's edition of Press Hour. Several biblical verses project how important training and discipline are in shaping the future of a child. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 24 captures this so vividly. I quote, "He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him." Islam equally permits reprimanding and beating the child for purposes of correction. The texts that regulate punishing children in schools in Cameroon must not be used to intimidate and, worst of all, humiliate teachers. When you humiliate teachers in front of their students, what psychological orientation are you giving to such students? And on Press Hour today, we shall talk about the orientation of our educational system. Is it for jobs or for certificates? You may quickly retort that both are important. Yes, of course, we agree with you. But when you start looking at which should take precedence over the other, then you will notice that there is something new we will offer to you on today's edition of Press Hour. And to offer what is new and very important on this topic, we have invited the type of people who are specialists in the domain. Meet Dr. Bonu Clemanche, who is a guidance counselor. You're welcome, Doc.
Thank you, Mr. Killian, for inviting me to this wonderful platform. And I want to thank the different followers that we have. And so we are here because they are there. And we are here to learn together as we edify Cameroonians on this topic of the day, the role of our educational system, if it is for a certificate or for job, and the other issues that concerning the educational system.
Thank you very much. You are a guidance counselor. That's an expert in orienting students on being better in future. Do you feel proud that we, as Cameroonians in Cameroon, are making the maximum use of that profession, guidance counseling?
Well, guidance counseling is a profession I hold with very high esteem, because when you see the future of children and what they become, it makes you happy because you shape them, you orientate them, and equally match them with the interest and ability they have to become better persons.
Good.
Tomorrow.
We are going to see in the course of our discussion whether that's exactly what is happening in Cameroon. We are not pushing the blame on you. You are just representing a lot. Now, meet Dr. Joe Ngale Awasumi, who is a senior audit specialist at U.S. Department of Treasury. 2 days ago, you were in the United States of America. Today, you are in Cameroon, and as you travel, you had Press Hour on your forehead, coming because of this particular topic to give us an orientation why we should train for jobs. Probably certificates are important. You're welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Kilian, and thank you for bringing me back. I was here a couple of months ago again. It's always an opportunity to share our experience and the profession that we're trying to build within our community. So I hope at the end of this program, your viewers will learn something new from us.
I have been learning so much from you in the background. We're going to share that with them. We are very, very elated to have patrons like you. Each time you are over there, you always call me and you say if there's any topic of interest I should. And we've been doing just that. I want to appreciate that right here.
Thank you.
Now, meet our own Dr. Tata Emmanuel Fon, who is an expert in machine building and agricultural value chain engineering. Doctor, I call you practical man because everything that Dr. Tata Emmanuel Fon says is practical. You can put your finger on what he does and he applies what he teaches. We are always very happy, honored to have you on Press Hour.
Thank you so much, Kilian. It's always an honor being at CRTV. Greetings to all the other panelists, and of course, greetings to your millions and millions of viewers out there. It's our duty, to stand up and bring our contributions for nation building. So it is always important that we, when building a nation, we have to be concrete, because it is the life of the nation, not just our own life. It is a life beyond ourselves.
And building a nation, you say. Let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that Dr. Tata Emmanuel Fon has refused to work in Canada. He has refused to work in the Eastern Europe. If you want, go verify. And he has said, I'm coming to work in Cameroon. We like patriots like you.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be a Cameroonian. Just like Francis Ngannou fights for his nation, we have to fight in our own areas.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, meet Lucas Teneng, who is the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Reporter newspaper. Lucas?
Yeah, thank you, Kilian. Once more, I'm happy to be here. I've been here a couple of times. We're always here when we have something to share. And I think at the end of the day, we'll be able to have contributed our own little chip on the building block of our nation. Because this topic, although it is out of what is happening now in Cameroon, but it is very, very important, because the future of our country depends on what we do today. And we have realized that our educational system might have had some hitches. And if we talk today, we're talking about certificates and we're talking about jobs. We have so many certified unemployed Cameroonians outside there. We don't equally want to think out of the box. I think maybe at the end of today, with the experts that are around, they might reshape their lives and reshape the life of our nation.
And this week, you said the topic is permanently harmful. That is, it's a topic you can bring at any time, because education is permanent. But we also had an incident in Cameroon during the week where we had a regional delegate for education intimidating and humiliating teachers whom he is supposed to protect. We're going to talk about that. We've taken that like a pretext to handle this topic. But we had a hitch, ladies and gentlemen. We must apologize to you that we're not going to have our press review, a production hitch again. We hope that is going to be corrected once and for all this time. But the man of the press who is here, we just would like to have some of the headlines that you wrote yourself, because your paper was published, is on the stands this week, and then some other thing that we can recapitulate.
Yeah, Kilian, what actually made news this week ending as the press releases from the Minister of Territorial Administration. There was one first press release that he was asking regional governors, senior divisional officers and divisional officers to stop harassing businessmen and the private sector to collect money to organize state events. To him, that was bringing down the reputation of the state. That's one of the things that made news this week, and so many newspapers carried it. Another thing that made news was the same Minister of Territorial Administration who issued another press release warning some let me put illegal political parties or illegal associations that are trying to talk about political transition in Cameroon, and they are coming together to press for political transition. And the Minister of Territorial Administration said they are not registered political parties. Since the Minister of Territorial Administration is the guarantor of political parties, associations, and NGOs, he said those guys who have created these associations have not duly registered them. And he says what actually pricked his mind is that most of these guys went to the prison, went and visited those who have been accused, tried, and sentenced for crimes committed in the Northwest and Southwest. So he said, if those guys go to the prison and say they want to form an alliance with these people who have been tried, who have been accused, tried, and found guilty and sentenced, it means they are endorsing all the atrocities in the Northwest and Southwest. So those are the two main issues of the week that you see most of the papers carried. I think you've had a press review, you have seen that most of the papers carry those two issues. So I just thought I should...
Yes, you did well. And on those two issues, each of the panelists is going to say, just chip in 1 minute and we can go ahead. Beginning with whoever wants to take.
Well, I think I will comment on the topic he just developed. You know, it's always good to respect the law. Each society, for it to function well, you need to respect the laws put in place. When you begin to go out of the laws that are put in place, you begin to see that you create conflict, you would create disorder. And the topic we are about to talk about today, which is education, you will be teaching our children, the younger generations, the wrong way of life, certifying that you can go the wrong way and you still. So it was very important and necessary that the Minister of Territorial Administration comes out to put a stop to all of those. I want to really appreciate him because he's a no-nonsense minister, and he always say stop, and it's good for our young people, for our learners, because it will help to redress certain things. Some people cannot, might be orchestrate act of terrorism for the state, against the state, and then you go to condo and then even want to make alliance with them. What are you teaching the others? That is actually really bad. It's something we need to denounce and even applaud the minister to take more harder decisions than only writing a communique.
A word, Dr. Tata?
Well, party politics is one of those things that I think is very unproductive in Africa. I'm a Pan-African. I must make this very clear. So I always try as much as possible to stay away from party politics within African countries. But then there is politics in the larger perspective, which is that of the development of Africa, which is that which has to do with doing those things that are necessary to see that Africa lives from the poverty that it finds itself. So if the Minister of the Administration is doing his work, it is his job. I'm not going to find out to question whether he's right or wrong. The judicial system is there. So, but I think that from the first aspect that he made mention of, preventing other politicians from exploiting business people, I think it's a good move, and I appreciate that. If he can continue to look at it to see that party politicians do not interfere into actors in the civil society that are struggling to foster the development of this country, I think that would be very good.
Dr. Joe?
Yes, Kilian, I think that, like Dr. Tata just said, I think we're running into a very big problem at this time in this country because the unemployment is at a very bad shape, and we're building a huge population of young people, and businesses are crumbling more than it has ever been before, especially with the COVID pandemic and now the inflation. So if administrators also have to put their hand in businesses to suck in some of the money they would have used to improve the business, then you're going to help in creating more of unemployment, and then more problems are going to come into this country. So sometimes I think that was a timely intervention by the minister, but I hope he should go further to see that his laws are being implemented in the field. Yes. Otherwise, it's a paper stuff.
One thing that I will ask Lucas about the proscription, that is the banning of the association, is if it is not related to the visit they had with people who already have a criminal record, if it's just coming together as political parties, is it not normal that political parties can form an association, an alliance, come up and on a common front?
Yeah, Kilian, you said before
on a political landscape.
Yeah, in the political landscape like us, where we have multi-parties, every party, that there has been the presidential majority, which are parties that have come together to support the head of state.
But they have not been banned.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So parties can equally come together to support which other candidate. There have been the Union of Change. The Union of Change was never banned. It was a union of political parties, opposition political parties that wanted to unseat Biya. And they existed, and they did what they did, but they could not unseat Biya. So they can equally still form any union. Political parties can still come together and form alliances. That is permitted. But if when political parties come together to form alliances, it means they have a basis. The basis is what? Presidential election of 2025. I think that's what most of the parties are coming together to do. To see whether they can put on one front to confront the other side. And the other side is always the regime in place. But if they come together, because I think the only thing they are proscribing them is because they came together when and visited people they consider do no longer have their civil rights. And to them, it's like endorsing what those guys who are in prison did. So I just think that is my thinking. I'm not in the head of the Ministry of Territorial Administration, but as a Journalist?
I read the communique.
Yeah,
the
as a journalist,
I read the press release.
the press release.
Does it mention? Is it mentioned in the press review that it is because they went and visited?
Yeah, it is mentioned there.
Okay.
It is mentioned there that because they went to prison to visit people who have been condemned, who have been accused, tried, and sentenced for acts of terrorism in the North and Southwest. It is clear on the press release.
Very good. So we're going to leave it there and continue. One other thing we must talk about in 5 to 10 minutes is what happened in the north of Cameroon, and I will invite you to watch with us this video, this element that we recorded. We capture it, I must tell you, from social media. It is real, we verified, and that's why we decided to come and share with you and talk about it.
Mr. Principal, if it ever happens that a discipline master, class master, or any teacher raise their hand and touch any student, they will be taken off duty. There is no joke about this. A discipline master was chased away in one school in Garwa, sent away, and I said he should not be seen around the school premises. And he is no longer there, sent away. The texts have to be implemented. The minister cannot tell us that there are regulations, and some people work as though they were in their farm. No. All the teachers and administrative staff are here and are listening to me. I am talking to all of you in the Tuboro Government Technical High School. As delegate, I will watch out for this. If you get any case, inform us, and the concern will be suspended and replaced with immediate effect. Thank you. This is the regional delegate speaking.
Merci. Ça, c'est le coup du gueule du délégué régional.
An applause for the delegate.
Merci.
Yes, you watch that.
Yeah. It is really, I don't know whether we are on air, but it is really appalling that a regional delegate could come that low in front of students and his collaborators. Even if he were to reproach or reprimand his collaborators, I think it would have been a close circuit, not in front of students. We're going to talk today about counseling,
orientation of education,
orientation and counseling. I don't know whether that particular delegate went through orientation and counseling, whether he knows the ethics of the profession he is practicing.
I am told that this is someone who was a classroom teacher, was raised to the rank of a principal in one or two other schools before being appointed regional delegate of education.
And that comes to the problem of orientation. There are people who stumble into professions. There are people who don't have the zeal to do what they are doing. Because I think a teacher who knows what other teachers go through, he's a regional delegate, he is sitting in his office, what the teachers go through on...
He had been a teacher, that's what we're saying.
But that's what I'm saying, that most people stumble in some professions.
Yes.
That guy is not a teacher. To me, a teacher knows what other teachers go through, and you can't come in front of students who are aspiring to be a teacher, who are aspiring to become delegates to, and disgrace other teachers. What have he planted there? The seed of rebellion. He has planted
and disrespect for
the
all
seed
those
of
teachers.
rebellion and the respect. I don't know if any teacher will talk to any student again. A student will listen to the teacher. He said, "But I will report you to the delegate." So they are already taking the delegate now as somebody who will sanction teachers if students go wrong. What happens is total chaos in that school.
Yes, Bonu, you are Dr. Bonu Clement, you are a, say, teacher, because guidance counselor is a teacher by profession, and this delegate said that he is implementing the texts of the Minister of Secondary Education, and we know the texts are talking about that corporal punishment is no more allowed in schools. I don't think I know the minister so well. I know the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, who is a strict person, and I think that this is a misinterpretation of the text. This cannot be what she said.
Well, it's true. The text says that it's banning corporal punishment in the school milieu, especially in the secondary schools. And what the regional delegate did has so many repercussions on the students. In an environment where there is chaos, in an environment where there is no respect, in an environment where the students know that, and these students, give them just little opportunity and they will become something else. Disrespecting or talking to your collaborator, because teachers are his collaborators, and as such, psychologically, there are certain things that you can say to a teacher, or maybe reproach a teacher indoors, and there are certain things that you can say in the student hearing. First of all, the teachers that were addressed would be psychologically. They will equally have psychological disorder, because they will no longer have the ability.
You
and
cannot,
willingness
under such circumstances. Thank you very much, Dr. Tata Emmanuel. I call you the practical man. Any person who knows you will call you a practical man. Practically, this is damaging.
Yes, it is. I should say that it's just some demonstration of so much intellectual arrogance, because I don't think that the delegate, who is just a colleague to most of the teachers, you must understand that most of them went to the same schools. They are having the same qualification, but for appointment, intellectually, educationally, they are all of the same level. I think he was not doing the right thing. That's the reason why at the school, at the teacher training level, we teach psychology of education. The students are in a kind of a psychological bubble created during the training process. So when you destroy that psychological bubble, it means that you are not even conscious of what it takes to impact knowledge, because you impact knowledge in a context. So he's destroying that context and exposing the teachers of that institution, and of course teachers across the country,
exactly,
to so much danger. But I don't think that this is what the Minister of Education was referring to. So it's a complete deviation from what the text is actually referring to when it comes to, because you have to understand that we also have psychological torture, we have physical torture, there are several forms of torture. Sometimes we just use our psychology, we use our maturity, we use our parenthood, because most teachers are also parents. We use our parenthood to be able to give students the context to find themselves compelled to study, to learn. But if this delegate comes and presents himself as a dog that the students have to call when they have a problem, I don't think he is even ready. He is even in a position to respond to all the students in Cameroon if they all go to his office and tell him that they have a problem with all the schools. The thing is, he's putting himself in a position that he cannot solve the problem, because if all the students in Cameroon go to his office to report that they've been handled in whatever way, I don't think he's going to be able to handle that, because it's not all the delegates. This should be very clear. It's not all the delegates in Cameroon who are saying this. This is one person who has his own way of interpreting the laws, and he's saying this. So it is not as if all the delegates of education in all the areas are saying this.
You call you a practical man. Now, Dr. Joe Ngale is a solution man. You will see him along this program. What should be the solution to this? Beginning with, I should suggest the delegate should be punished, and it should be made known to others that he has been punished, so that students should erase what he has implanted into their minds.
Killian, I seriously don't want to take the position of a minister here, because I didn't read that text to see exactly what materials, how that text was written and what his interpretation to it. But I find a violation of two things in terms of management. There is a problem of chain of communication, and there is a problem of separation of powers. So when you have an information as a regional delegate and you want to communicate to the students, then that should be written to the divisional delegates. And divisional delegates should have the power to pass over that information to the principals. And the principals will have to call a meeting with the staffs involved with the disciplinary of the students and get this information to them. And then it has to go to the students. But if he leaves right at the top and comes straight to the students, then they consider the superior have said it, that now renders the discipline masters powerless, the principal powerless, the divisional delegates. These people cannot come and talk to students anymore because the power has already been taken from them. So it's broken the chain of communication and that of separation of power, so which is ethically wrong.
Thank you very much, and we hope that in the weeks, in the days ahead, students, other teachers should know that he did not represent the administration by having it also publicly that he has been sanctioned, because that's not the representation.
I wanted to come to that. I think in our dialect they say just one cocoyam can spoil the whole broth.
Yes.
This issue of students attacking teachers, you've seen so many places where students have peers, teachers have. It's because
of this type of.
It's because of this type of thing. Some of us went through corporal punishment. I don't think it was so bad. I think today I praise most of my teachers who used to beat me.
You are what you are today because
I praise most of my teachers. They had no interest. A teacher beating you has practically no interest. He wants you to become somebody tomorrow.
Yes.
Why is his interest beating you? He's not a sadist. Because only sadists will beat people to take pleasure. A teacher who beats you wants you to become something. And when you're something, you don't even look at your teacher. Today I'm crying that most of my primary school teachers are no longer there to even have water from me.
Thank you.
Because they were the people who helped me to what I am today.
Thank you.
And so I think this regional delegate should be sanctioned it should be sanctioned in order to clear the mind of other, because other regional delegates now are already in the soup. The people think that that's how the regional delegates behave. But it's a unique person who committed this demeanor that can go down and destroy the whole fabric of education.
Thank you very much. I know that the authorities of education are listening. We are crying because we did not like that, and we went across Cameroon by way of looking at the comments people made. It's not good for our educational system. It is not even good for our country. And the focus on Press R today, I'm going to resituate you. Youths up to 25 years old in Cameroon constitute about 65% of the population. Every year, we can even say every day, great numbers graduate, but only few of them get jobs, stepping up the number of unemployed young Cameroonians. Is it a problem of jobs, or it is a problem of lack of skills to get the jobs? How do we resolve this problem? That is what we're going to look at in the 33 minutes that we still have to our credit on the program. I am going to start with Dr. Joe Ngali. What actually will you say is the problem? Because we've asked that question. Jobs certificate. Now, before we get to that, please permit me. Is there anything wrong with getting certificates and getting jobs?
Actually, no, there's nothing wrong to have certificates.
Yes.
And there's a problem getting job too. But what the problem I see in this country begins with the orientation. The process of orienting students into different professions as they register into university, when they leave in high school to go to university, is one of the biggest problems we have in this country. Because students are completely ignorant entering into university. Some will tell you, I'm coming to read chemistry, geography, history, but you don't address the concern yourself, asking, what am I going to do upon graduation? What is this certificate going to offer me? Where are the jobs that are going to be available for me? And in as much as I try to blame students at 50%, then the other 50% go to the universities. Because it's supposed to by now have guidance counselors or advisors, as they call them in university. Or you have a career center where most universities in the Western world, the first year one in university, is just general courses that can take you to any profession. And once upon 1 year, they start meeting with your advisors and attending career center seminars, briefing you on the Cameroon economy, the jobs market, what it looks like, the percentage of job you can have in this field and this career, and then they can advise you. If you want to pursue a degree, this is the best route you want to take. And if you do that, at the end of that degree program, you should be able to have a job. But what is happening today, we talk of unemployment. There are jobs out there.
Here in Cameroon,
of course, there are jobs here in Cameroon. Yes. But what is the biggest problem on that unemployment, which we have of all the types of unemployment, is what we call the structural unemployment.
Yeah. Which means?
Structural unemployment, which simply means you have a job, but you don't have people who have the skills that matches that job.
Okay.
So if I'm looking for somebody who's a meteorologist, and you tell me you have a degree in chemistry, you're not going to get the job. So you have jobs coming in here, and that is why a lot of even industry, go look at all the foreign industry coming into this country. 50% of the people working there are not Cameroonians. They're people coming in, they're bringing in from different countries, paying them even high salaries. They could pay half of that salary to a Cameroonian. But they look for those professions we don't have, because our universities are not giving the right training and the right courses to students. So it's about time we sit down, hold a symposium, business owners tell us what are the job markets out there, and then universities should design courses and professions that students could be taught in, and when you leave, you match with those jobs. But nobody's doing it. University is not doing anything, and we need to change it right now. Kilian, you'll be surprised when I tell you this. In the next 5 to 10 years, private universities in this country are going to take over government universities. Why? Because they're coming out to exploit the situation. Look at those little private universities. You think they're little? Go look at the things they're teaching the students. Hands-on training stuff that you can go there. Some are beginning to teach them a lot of things. Some are having nursing schools. Some are opening schools. They teach accountants, computer database engineers. You go to our main universities, they don't. People are still doing chemistry. People are still doing psychology. Where will this take us? Where are the jobs for psychologists? Where are the jobs for people doing social? And I see a lot of things that came up lately that is a public administration. Are you kidding me? Government hire administrators from ENAM. Are you doing a degree in public administration in a university to go administrate what? What? But then, all is not lost. We only need to come. Where is the solution now that you have a lot of them piled out there? Now, that's why we need to gear towards self-employment.
Yes, I hold there. I'm going to ask you, when all the other panelists would have spoken, we're going to get to that level of solutions. Now, Dr. Bonu Clementia, from what Dr. John Gali has said, we have a serious problem with guidance, orientation. You are a guidance counselor. Has your profession, which was well conceived by the public administration, knowing that we needed it, it was brought along the line. Have you failed? What's happening?
Well, when they talk about guidance and counseling in the school setting, there are a lot of stakeholders that are involved. The guidance counselor as a person, you have the school administration, and you have another very key stakeholder, which is the parent of the learner or the student. And you know, most often the problem we have with guidance counseling and might be the student and might be opting for certificate and having difficulties to have a job is that at home, you know, with guidance counseling, we look at the ability, the interest, the capacity, the capability of that student in a particular domain, and then we drill that student to go and train in that particular domain. But we have difficulties coming first.
But don't even say that you are absent. You are trained. Almost all the guidance counselors that I know, when that was introduced in the university, I was already maybe compassed the first degree level, maybe at that level. Yeah. we were so excited to have this camp and orient our students. But from what we have observed, just observation, I cannot talk about any study I don't have, is that once they come out of school, the higher teacher training college where most of them have been trained, 1 year is enough for them to go to other places. They forget and they're doing so many other things. What I'm saying, I know that many people are looking at us and saying, yes, that's true. So we want to ask you, why is it like that?
No, if you say that, I would say, actually the guidance counselors, well, we can have a few of them who might leave, but a majority of them are in the school system. And the issue is that, the Psychological Association of, the Counseling Association of the United States have stated that a counselor is due to take care of 250 students. And I think that is what we are trying to implement. And when you go to a school system where you have 6,000 students, and it might be in the school you have a guidance counselor and O2, you see that the effort that guidance counselor will want to put will not go across. Just a few will get, because you will not be able to get to all the students at the same time. The school have 6,000 students, but you can have the strength and might be capability to handle 250 of them. You might manage to get to more than the 250, but it's difficult. So the issue is the guidance counselor are there, and the difficulty they have is that they cannot cut across everything. Let me come back to something I was saying, which is very important. In guidance and counseling, the key stakeholders that are really there are the parents. And I will say it because the parents, when you come for counseling, when the students, you identify skills in them. But parents, they think that my child need to become a doctor, even if he doesn't have the interest and the ability to becoming a doctor. You do everything for that child to become a doctor.
That's medical doctor, yeah.
Yes, medical doctor, even out of the thinking, out of the interest and the capability that the student might have. Some will say, I want my child to become an engineer, and we all know the end of it all, because when the student will go there, when that child will grow up and go as an engineer, we know the type of project the child will produce. So the parents too have to give the leeway, allow the guidance counselor to be able to dictate this the ability of the student from the base. And it should not be limited only to the secondary school. It have to go right down to the primary schools, so that from primary school they can begin to identify
the abilities. Yes, thank you. The talents.
Different abilities.
Yes, you were itchy. I had to go to him because
Joe, you just said something I wanted to say. Because if you go to secondary schools here in Cameroon, after the principal's office is the vice principal, after vice principal, discipline master, then you have the counselor, the guidance counselor. And when you see the office is there, go and look at the timetable.
Yes.
See the number of hours that are given to the guidance counselor.
Since you have seen them, tell us, what are the hours?
Insignificant.
Okay. And
in a very big school. That is not even where the problem is. The problem is
in those schools where you have them, because in many schools you don't.
Yeah, the problem is, he has just mentioned where the problem is. Our school system, our educational system needs a total overhaul. For that one, I am frank about it. The government has started changing it, but are the universities adapting it? No, because I have seen students who have had advanced level and they don't even know where to. They are so confused, don't even know where to want to go to, because from primary school they did not even know where they're going to. Somebody has an advanced level, is in Bamenda, his elder brother or his cousin is reading law in Soa. He said, okay, since my cousin is reading law in Soa, let me just come to Yaoundé and go to Soa and read law. He doesn't even know what are the jobs that are for law. If he reads law and has a degree in law, obtains a degree in law, he has two openings. Either he becomes a lawyer or writes the entrance examination into the advanced school of magistracy, which is a selected, which is a closed circuit. You begin to see he has a degree, he has a certificate, and he sits there banking on that certificate, but he cannot do anything. You understand? I am a publisher of a newspaper. There are people who have come to look for employment in my establishment. And you ask somebody, what can you do? He said, just anything. You have already failed.
You have failed.
Yeah.
Truly.
You say, means you don't have any particular skill. Tell me that I can even arrange newspapers. Tell me that I can even type. Tell me that I can market the newspapers. That is a skill. But see, somebody says I can do just anything.
Kilian,
yes, let us listen
Kilian,
to. Yes, let's listen to the,
when you see
to
when
Dr. Tata.
when we
Yes.
talk about this other issue, we have another very disturbing issue, which is peer pressure. You know, some of these students, they like to follow what their friends are doing.
Yes, as he has said.
Yes.
Yes.
So they just want to copy and then are pasting, whereas they don't have that ability in doing.
Yes,
And
thank you. Lucas Teneng has elaborated on that. Now we're going to take Dr. Tata Emmanuel Fon, who I like to call, without any apologies, practical man. What's the problem with training for the way we are? We are training for certificates and not for jobs.
Yeah, I think that the fundamental problem is with the lack of a national agenda for our educational sector. In Cameroon, we don't have a national agenda. In every country, there's a national agenda. We actually know exactly the number of students we are training who are going to become engineers each year. We're supposed to know the number of students whom we are training to become medical doctors, and we're supposed to know the need. What is Cameroon? Cameroon is a developing country. This is chantier. If we have a chantier, we should have workers, people that are developing skills. We should be training people with skills. We just training people who can talk, and that's the reason why every day we'll be confronted by people fighting for their rights to talk, because that's the only thing we've been trained to do, just to talk. Meanwhile, if we have to develop Cameroon, it means that we're looking at the growth of industry. And very interestingly, the president has laid the foundation for that, because we're looking at import substitution. Import substitution logically means that we are industrializing Cameroon. We are looking at the building of machines. We are looking at the transformation of our agricultural sector. We are looking at the transformation of every sector. Who are those who are going to build Cameroon? They are people with physical skills. There are people who can do things. They are not people who can talk. They are people who have something to do. So our education, the leaders of our educational system are supposed to respond to the call of the president. They are supposed to orientate our education system in such a way that we now have many more technical institutions. We now have many more vocational institutions. We now churn more students to go in the direction of technical and vocational education instead of general education. Sometimes I question myself, why do we even need many more general education institutions in Cameroon than technical institutions? The more intelligent students that we usually have in primary school, we send them to general education instead of sending them to technical education so that they can engineer the growth of our country. But we actually give them the perception that general education is a place for more intelligent students. Meanwhile, technical education is a place for students who are less intelligent. But science or history has proven, the presence is actually proving to us that the technical education is that engineering, is that part of the nation that develops the nation. So if you look at teacher training in Cameroon, I was trained as a physics teacher at UNSNX Bambali, and I could say without any doubt that the philosophy of education is a mess. If you go there, those are some of the most boring lectures. Why? Because we spend almost 2 or 3 semesters quoting outdated textbooks that have nothing to do with the current Cameroon that we're standing on. So I think that is, we have to build a philosophy of education. What is our philosophy? What do we want to achieve in the next? The president has laid the foundation, 2035. What do we want to achieve? Those are the things that are supposed to give us a guidance as to how to build a foundation for an educational system with clear objectives. Of course, the Minister of Higher Education, I attended a meeting where we spoke about the university enterprise policy law. But then it is still remaining as a law. It is not helping the import substitution policy, because it was supposed to be put in place so that along with the import substitution policy, private institutions, even government institutions, can begin to embrace the culture of developing enterprises alongside the teaching, so that students, while they're carrying out their theoretical lessons in classroom, can also have the opportunity to carry out some internship. And you see, one of the greatest challenges in Cameroon, which is keeping Cameroon so stagnant, is the gap between academia and industry, the gap is too wide. And when I talk about the gap,
let us look at this academia and industry. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, you see, our universities are supposed to be answers to the challenges of small and medium-sized enterprises and our industry. Right. What does that mean? It means that we have the import substitution policy which we're currently running in Cameroon. So all these small enterprises that are coming up are supposed to be linked up. I would suggest that there should be a policy to insist that most of these products that are produced should go through university institutions, so that they can go through even the production protocols, so that because sometimes you could have products that could have certain effects. When people take products, of course, someone will tell me that no certification is there. But when people produce products using certain protocols, the protocols of production could become even much cheaper if optimized at educational institutions.
Thank you.
So that is how we can be able to close the gap and enjoy our educational system.
One last thing on this, and then I'll ask you a question. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Killian, I got what Dr. Teta is saying. The biggest problem we have is, with a large population growing now with the youths, we have to focus, this country has to focus on self-employment, because data shows that in every country.
Those are the solutions I said I was going to come. Yeah. We are going to come to the solutions, and you'll be the first to. Yes.
As Dr. Tata said, our higher education is not fully professionalized, and we thought that the private higher education institutions were supposed to fill the gap that the government universities have not been able to fill. That means what? Change their own curriculum. Because the future of the world is now engineering, agriculture, ICTs.
That's technology, yes.
Yes, technology. So that is what they are supposed to do. There's one university institute. I would not like to mention the name here because it might look like...
you shouldn't.
But there's one person that I have seen who is operating. He first of all had his university in Bamenda. He has moved it to Yaoundé and Douala. And he is not only preaching theory, but he has open farms. He has a piggery. He has a poultry. And he's planting wheat in Kambe, Ndu, everywhere in the west. And he's trying to explore other regions where you can plant wheat. He says any university, he says it every day, any university or any private institution or any higher institution that does not factor in import substitution would perish.
Yes, that's what Dr. Tata has spent a lot of time talking about. Now, please let me ask this question because we may not have time again. You were talking about orienting our students to do these things that give them jobs and not just being paper tigers. But what we know is that there is no parent who will not push or send their child to a school that will give that child jobs. Sometimes it's the environment. Sometimes it's the pocket power of the parents that allows them to send their children to general education schools because it's affordable, with tears in their eyes because they cannot pay for the technical education that you have elsewhere. So how do we compromise between a father who does not have, a mother who does not have, with what you are preaching?
Yeah, I think that it's actually a misconception, and that's what most parents actually think. General education is more expensive in Cameroon than technical education. We don't even have the technical institutions, because if you go into looking at the number of technical institutions that we have in Cameroon and the number of general education institutions that we have in Cameroon, you'll notice that we have less technical institutions. And it's only recently that we start having technical institutions that have boarding facilities and all that.
So, Doctor, let me ask you this question again. In the general education, the fee is fixed. You don't have to pay the fee. You buy textbooks and maybe you give food, tools. That's all. But in the technical education, you pay the same fee. You have to pay the laboratory fee. You have to pay the field trip fee. You have to pay a good number of things. How do you say this is a misconception of?
Yeah, I think in choosing, I think this is something that parents should really bear in mind, because in choosing, they say they're penny wise, pound foolish. You see, in choosing, they should look at the results at the end. They shouldn't look at the immediate difference in the prices, because if they choose the cheaper version from the beginning, then at the end of the day it will be more expensive.
Thank you. Now you've explained it better.
You remember in secondary education for you, because what is the entry level into the job market in secondary education? You must have a advanced level, because most of competitive entrance examination are advanced level. So you have done 7 years plus 7, that is already 14. You do 3 in the university, that's 20.
If you are very intelligent.
Well, if you are very intelligent. But look at the reverse, the reverse in technical education. Somebody who has gone to a technical education is in class 4, in Form 4.
Yes.
Is already employable.
Thank you. So I think you have explained it well.
But Killian, I mean, the key important thing is this. Let us not too much embellish this as technical education. There's a problem. And the problem is because, first and foremost, technical education, they don't even receive government attention as general education is. Because when you go to those technical education that are operated, there is virtually nothing to put hands on training. So if you open this course and you do not put the infrastructure in place that people will come there and train electricians, builders, carpenters, the materials should be there. Shouldn't be the responsibility of students to be buying materials to be trained on. Government should provide those materials. And I bet you if government don't do it, somebody who leave technical school in Form 2 is already self-employed because they can go out there and do a technical job. And they've been paid. They won't be moving with papers looking for jobs.
That's true.
So let's improve the technical education and put all infrastructure in place for effective training.
Yeah, that is already the solution phase. Yes, other solutions, I said I was going to come to you.
Yes, like we're talking about university, Killian. I mean, one thing that we have to do in universities, open career centers and make year 1 a general course for all students that can take you to any career path. Then at the end of the year, your performance level will now have to give the advisors the opportunity to know your strength and see the skills, the job market, and see the skill that fits you, and now advises you what you can do to pursue that degree. Now you know that I'm pursuing this degree, here are the opportunities. When they tell you that what you're trying to get a very slim chance of you getting a job when you get to university, then they should go to the next phase. And the next phase should be the vocational ministry. We have a ministry in vocational training and the small business. Now they should be able to open training centers. You need education to get out. It's a gateway to the world. I have a degree in English, that's fine. I can get out there and now go to this training 3 months and train piggery farming, poultry farming, potato farming, and go out there and develop it with little capital you can start. I bet you can make it. I know a gentleman from Nigeria, a friend of mine, whose brother started with 4 pigs and today is rearing 2,000 pigs after 3 years. So you can get there if you put your head down.
Thank you. The solutions, we are on the solution phase now.
Yes, I think that cognizance of the fact that Cameroon is, like you just indicated, 65% youths below 25 years old of age. It means that we have a lot of youths who are out there who are unemployed. But then you notice that we haven't done a lot of investment in the agricultural sector. The agricultural sector in this country can absorb all those youths if we give it just a little push. If we can just engage ourselves on the mechanization of our agriculture at each level, from the cultivation to the transformation to the marketing to the sales, it will create millions and millions of jobs for these young people. We have the money. It is not as though we don't have the money. It doesn't cost as much as the figures we see on newspapers every day we wake up. So I believe that investment in the agricultural sector is going to be one of those solutions that will also create centers for hands-on training. As you're talking in the line of solutions, most developed countries have moved from the degree path of education to the certification path, meaning that if you want to get something done, all you have to do is learn the sets of skills required for what you want to do, and you learn those skills and you get doing it. At what I do on daily basis, I train young people on specific sets of skills on how to build machines. When they have those sets of skills, they don't need to have degrees.
Yes.
They don't need to have PhD.
Yeah, they go
all they need is those sets of skills,
Thank you.
those hands-on skills to do that.
Yeah.
So I believe that approach of certification can also be an answer to putting the youth who are out there, who have studied things that are not productive, to make them productive and employable.
Thank you very much. Yes, Dr. Bunu.
Yes.
We are giving the solutions to this our system of education.
Yes. Just briefly before coming to solution. Yes, all is not just as lost as we are presenting. We in the school system now, first of all, we're using the subjective approach. We left from the subjective approach to the objective approach, and now we are at the competent-based approach. It means that even general education, there are some competencies that are being transmitted now that are making the learners to gain skills. It doesn't mean that if a child goes only to a technical school, he will come out with. Even in the general education now, the new system that the government have adopted is the competent-based approach. It means that even coming out from the general education, you can still have some skills in doing a lot of things.
Like what? Just give us one of the competencies.
For instance, if you are doing a course on literature,
yes,
they teach you how you can create a poem. That is how you can begin to develop creativity.
And become a writer.
A writer.
Thank
That
you.
is something.
Thank you. Yes, we are getting out of the program.
Yeah,
in 5 minutes. Your own solution.
What I know is that our educational system has been placed on certificates, and we have the civil service mentality that has kept so many people down. So many just want to have a matricle, no other skills. But the solution is very simple. Let's move from certificates to jobs. People who have certificates should not be waiting for jobs, for God to give them jobs. The jobs are there. We should think out of the box. Dr. Tata here has been a physicist, a physician, and everything. But what he is doing now, that is creating jobs for other people, is not what he learned in school. People have been thinking out of the box. What I'm here sitting here as a journalist is not just because I did mass communication, but that is not all what I'm doing. I'm thinking out of the box, because very soon we were, as journalists, we were publishers. We had newspapers that were selling. We had the market in Norway and Southwest. The market is no longer there. People used to buy physical newspaper. They're no longer buying it. So what are we doing? We have to move out of the conventional way of doing things and look at the practical way of doing things. We should train our students to do things that can pay them. You are not paid for having a head. You are paid for using one.
Thank you very much. You've said it the way.
One last thing I have to say is that education without the core moral values like honesty, love, transparency, accountability, patriotism cannot build a nation.
Okay. Thank you. We have just a few minutes to go, and I think we've gone through. We've gone through the problem. We've gone through the solution, and particularly, let me ask Dr. Joe Ngale, who is based in the United States. When you were coming, you had press R on your forehead, but it looks like there's something else that brought you to Cameroon. What is that? Just share with us.
Yeah, I mean, Kilian, it's an interesting moment, especially in my village out there in Kikau, because
the village is
in Kikau.
Kikau, yes.
3 kilometers from Bangem.
Yes. The division?
It's Kupe Madungova division.
Yeah.
So a good number of diasporans are here now, almost 20 of them, and coming into the country with home-based elites to... on Saturday, we're going to be celebrating a lot of stuff because we had 2 major projects going on given by the government of Cameroon, the health center and the hydroelectricity power. And we as elite have come up with a multi-purpose community hall that is one of the best in Kupe Manungoba, as I can tell you right now. It's sitting in a village. So, and grading work is going on there now, sponsored by an elite in the village, not the government. So this is the kind of power we want to teach people, that we can come home and make Cameroon be a beautiful place that we all want it to be. It takes the contribution, it takes people coming together, and I bet you when you get to kick off on Saturday, amazing, you will not believe you're in a village, because you have a lot of gentlemen right now who is working hard to make it become a beautiful, beautiful place to live.
If I have a way, I will follow.
I wish you had the time to follow me there.
But what he has said is very important. Our time is up. The elite of every place should fight to develop their locality. It is not only government. Self-reliant development, we used to know community work. There are still some villages that are going on with community work now, and we give you credit to that, and we can only wish that you succeed in that. Ladies and gentlemen,
please do that, not credit just to me, but to the chairman and the president of the National Association. I'm just a member, but we all work together as a team.
Thank you very much, Dr. John Gale Awasume, who is a senior audit specialist at the U.S. Department of State. Thank you, Dr. Bruno Clement Chair, who is a guidance counselor. Thank you, Dr. Tata Emmanuel Fon, who is expert in machine building and agricultural value chain engineering. Thank you, Lucas Tening, who is the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Reporter newspaper. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. There will be a rebroadcast of this program on Monday at 2:30. God bless you.